Thanks for joining us for this Munch and Learn. Welcome to anyone who is new. And welcome to everyone who's managed to join us so far. So in a moment, obviously, I'll go over to our hosts for today, who are Solverboard. But in advance of that, for their benefit and for my benefit, so I can take you off the register, I'm just going to go around the screen and ask everyone to introduce themselves. And potentially, what was the question we wanted to ask?
Why is innovation so difficult?
Right. So your name, what's your name, where you come from, and why is innovation so difficult? So I'll kick things off. My name is Liam Henderson. I am based in London and I'm the chair of the Rail Innovation Group, as well as being a technology project person type thing in rail, helping startups push products into the market, which is the purpose of this group. So why is innovation so difficult? Because you haven't talked to me yet, obviously. I am the solver of all innovation problems. If I go to Hayden next.
Afternoon, Hayden Sutherland. Do all sorts of things, including founding the Open Transport Initiative and doing all sorts of things with data and interoperability. Why is innovation so difficult in this sector? One, because I think lots of people think it's everybody else's problem. And two, the very nature of franchising and short-terming means that nobody's got any time for baked-in innovation. Their job descriptions aren't thinking about it long.
Brilliant. Let's go to Ian. Ian Rush. All right.
Yeah, I'm muting myself. Had a bit of difficulty. Yeah, Ian Rush. I'm Principal Consultant at Data and Process Advantage. We help organisations to better exploit their data and understand what they have and how they use it and its quality. Currently, I've done a lot of work for Crossrail. We're now moving to Hanoi Metro, plus other organisations in other industries. Why is innovation difficult? I think similar to Aidan, it's because it's normally seen as being put upon us rather than being in the lead for it.
Brilliant, thanks. I will write all these down when I review it. Nicola Anderson.
Hi. Sorry, I was just making some lunch earlier, so I thought you didn't need to see that.
Where's Munch and Learn?
Oh, that's what I thought. I'm a patent attorney based in Sheffield with a particular interest in the rail industry. So I'm very interested to people's answers about why innovation is difficult. I think from our experience with rail clients, it's the length of time, as you say, there's sort of contract issues, but also just the length of time that technology lasts for in rail. And also the sort of risk-averse nature of rail and the high safety factors involved can stop innovation.
Cool, thank you. Chris, Passageway Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm one of the founders of Passageway. We do smart digital signs, which are, connecting. We transform any connected screen into a real-time digital sign. We're working with Transport for Wales on a little RTIG grant project, which we're not apparently supposed to be talking about. Why do I think innovation is such a problem? I think mainly it's fear of change, really.
Cool, thank you. Then we've got Liz.
Hello, I'm Liz Davidson. I work for Esoteric Systems in Bristol. We are a small company, been working in transport innovation for about 10 years, mostly in bus until about 2 years ago when we've started doing quite a lot of work in rail. Why is innovation difficult? Innovation, I would completely agree with fear, inertia. Yeah, so I think I'd go with those two as being primary hurdles. That's what I'm looking for, hurdles.
I appreciate I put you all on the spot for this, so I'm not expecting the most rounded answers, don't worry. John Lawrence.
It's John from JPL Diversified. I'm a company, well, we're a company that do support people getting into rail. Probably more infrastructure based than rolling stock based. a lot of years doing innovation on the railway. We also support people trying to get through product acceptance or get the products assured. Innovation largely on the railway, there's a whole host of reasons why it's difficult in the rail industry. One of them is constant reorganisation internally. So you lose your stakeholders, you lose your sponsors on a rapid basis. So you've got to get your innovations in within a time window. But cultural is one of the key issues. But also a lot of vested interests. You've got to make sure that you sort of approach the railway in the right way. It's a political industry, not a business one. So you've got to approach it in the right way.
Cool. Thank you. Evan?
Yeah, hi guys. Evan here from Intuitix. We're a company currently helping the utilities networks measure the impact of their projects. We're looking to move into transport soon. So the problems we see of innovation or challenges anyway, first one would probably be collaboration. We see a lot of siloing of departments and a general people sort of reading off different song sheets. And then secondly is understanding the return on investment. We see that as a big problem, and that also is a bit of a hurdle for stakeholders to be engaged when they don't really know where their resources are ending up.
Brilliant. Prasad?
Hi, Prasad Ravi from PA Consulting Services. We are an innovation and transformation consultancy. Yeah, so good to be back, Liam. I was away for
welcome again.
3-4 years doing international travels, so busy with other rail projects. So yeah, a career in railways. The question probably, Liam, I missed. I think it's what hampers innovation. Is that the question? Yes. Yeah. So my answer remains the same. The risk of failure, and the stakeholders are fearful of failure. And secondly, making them visualize the benefits of innovation. That's one of the hardest tasks.
Great. Thank you. Arlinda?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So hi, everyone. I'm Arlinda, currently based in Montenegro, but as a company, we operate from Derby. I am from Amiga. I work as an operations associate. We mainly work in the predictive maintenance sector. We started from the aerospace industry and now we moved to rail. To answer your question, why is innovation difficult? How we see it is usually, there are 3 factors, the right time, the right people, and the right idea. So if you combine these 3, sometimes one of them may not be a correct one to put into the mix. So that's how I see why innovation is so difficult sometimes.
Great, thanks. Liam Crozier?
Hi, my name's Liam. I work with lots of digital infrastructure capability data. Why it's hard to innovate. I think it's resistance to change because things have been done a certain way for a long time, and then you have to get over a lot of safety hurdles as well.
Great, and Anna?
Hi. So I'm on my phone because my laptop doesn't allow me to join the Zoom meetings. I'm Anna from Hitachi Rail. So I'm in the bid management team. I've been a member of this group for a while now. I'm joined for a while though, so very much looking forward to this discussion. And why is innovation difficult in the railways? I would say from sort of a bid management angle or public procurement angle, very often customers are either not prepared to take the risk of implementing innovative ideas that we put forward, or they don't want to pay for them. So I think that's probably for us, that's the biggest hurdle, but the risk is probably bigger than even the costing of things. So then we go back to the traditional ideas.
Great. That's all the attendees. I will in a second just hand over to Aaron, Charlie and Johanna, who are going to lead the session, and let them do their introductions. Just before I do, we have another session next Wednesday, the 16th, which is more of a social networking meetup in central London for anyone who wants to join us. We can probably rustle up some Guinness early. And we have a podcast that's already live on your channels, which is with Amigda, which Johanna and I did last week. So listen to that. And then we have a whole series of meetups for the rest of the year on the website. Equally, if you would like to host or speak to us in one of these Munch and Learn sessions, just get in touch with me and we can do that. Otherwise, I'm going to hand over to Johanna and Johanna. So seamlessly.
I was going to then hand over to Charlie straight away because you've done it so well already. But just by way of introduction, I think I know most people in the group, but I'm Johanna Randall. I'm also a member of the Rail Innovation Group. And I'm going to put my 2 pence in about innovation as well. I think part of everything that everybody has said, I agree with, but I think it's probably inertia and it's just too difficult. I think my whole railway career, and I've been working in rail for 30 years, is just everything, even if it's not innovation, it just goes into a too difficult pile. So it's easier just not to do it. And on that note, I'm going to hand over to Charlie, who's going to maybe show a way that maybe we could help people along that journey and overcome some of those issues that we've raised as people introduce themselves.
Thank you, Joanna. On that positive note about innovation just being too difficult, I'm going to introduce you to Solverboard, which is an innovation management platform that hopes to try and change that just by simply applying the Solverboard methodology and the Solverboard process to innovation programs. For my tuppenny's worth, I suppose, I think innovation is difficult because of the fact that there's no real clear journey through the process. There's no clear way of measuring innovation. And there's probably no easy way to align innovation to strategy, because often the people that do the innovation is better when the people that do it aren't core business, because you need fresh ideas, fresh thinking. But then it becomes quite difficult then to see it as core business when it's getting delivered by people outside of core. So that's really the challenge that we set ourselves when creating Solverboard, to try and bring all of that together into one place to help manage the process more effectively. I guess one other thing that struck me when hearing people talk is that innovation is kind of best done when you're not at work, when you're not sort of in work mode, because innovation tends to start with interesting, different and non-typical ideas, and it's very hard to have those ideas when you're so completely focused on what you've got to do every day. So it's one department that seems to be most effective when you're not actually thinking about work or doing work, in inverted commas. So maybe there's something in that as well. But actually, why is innovation so difficult is one of the questions that we asked a whole ton of innovation leaders when we were beginning to scope the new version of our platform. And I'll come on to that in a second in my presentation. I've asked Aaron to join, our head of marketing, just to come as well. So that, first of all, really just to pick me up on anything I get wrong in my presentation, but also potentially answer any questions that you might have in the chat along the way, and just keep a record of those so we can come back to you if needs be. But what I'll do is I've got a brief sort of small presentation just to give you a bit of our story, and then I'll spin over to to Chrome, and I'll take you through a couple of platforms to show you how the platform works and why we're keen to work with you guys at the Rail Innovation Group as well. So if I just share my screen quickly and come to this, hopefully you can all see this. And I'm just gonna run through a little bit about our story first of all. So first of all, this is us. This is not all of us. This is Phil and I, my co-founder. Phil usually joins me on these kind of calls, which is why it says Phil and Charlie, co-founders of Solverboard. But in actual fact, you just got me today, I'm afraid. So I hope that's okay. But the background to us is that we both actually come from quite different backgrounds. Phil is from a very much a corporate aerospace and defense change and transformation program background. So his background is very much engineering and corporate innovation, I guess. And my background is actually teaching and working in creative industries. So where Phil was sort of working away, trying to turn massive oil tankers from being quite change and innovation resistant into companies that were a little bit more agile and able to manage change and innovation more effectively, I was watching failure and good innovation behaviors get taught out of people through the process of basically being at school and then coming out of school and into jobs that they needed to keep in order to pay their rent, pay their mortgage, etc. And so failure became a question of, well, do I really want to be responsible for failure. And maybe there's something in that, quite a human reaction to why innovation is so difficult, in that people don't want to be seen as weak, don't want to be seen as coming up with bad ideas, and maybe don't want to be seen as oh, that didn't work and that was your fault. So I've always been very keen on trying to harness the power of failure and learning from failure, and try and teach. I always try to teach that into the kids that I taught, was that there's nothing wrong with failure as long as you learn from it. And where that was second nature for year 5s, it became a real challenge for year 13s. And then when I went into the school, into the work environment, having left teaching, the problems that then engendered became all the more apparent when it came down to, we just simply can't change because we're too scared of it, and we're too scared of what might go wrong if we do. So between both of those kind of different mindsets, we were in the work environment, and encountered this, as I think inertia was mentioned a few times in different people's ideas of why innovation is so difficult. And when it came to innovation, corporate inertia was a big deal. I worked for a company that worked for Blockbuster as they were going through their travails. And while you could argue that it wasn't really Blockbuster's fault that they failed, the outcome of their failure rippled through their supply chain into organizations who really, didn't have any choice, and had lots of great ideas that Solverboard could have used. Solverboard, Blockbuster could have used in order to try and stave off disruption, but they simply weren't in a position culturally or process-wise to be able to do anything about it until it was far too late. And lots of people suffered because of that. And so, from my perspective, I decided I wanted to do something about companies, corporate businesses' inability to change, transform, and innovate effectively. And meanwhile, across the other side of Bristol, Phil was having the same thoughts when it came to how to turn massive global corporate organizations into more agile and more effective change engines as well. And when we then started working at the same business, we connected over that and decided to try and launch something that could help. So what did that first of all look like? Well, back in 2016, when we started, that was open innovation. And that was about companies realizing that the best people to solve their challenges don't necessarily work in that business. They are outside that business, maybe in the supply chain. Maybe they have nothing to do with that business at all. So we looked into the open innovation market and saw some huge businesses in there doing massive corporate reward and challenge management activity. And we thought that the SME market, maybe the top end of SME, was not particularly well served by the solutions that were in the market at the time. And so we built a simple proof of concept open innovation platform. And before we knew it, we had 10 challenger businesses posting on the platform, everyone from small local kitchen sink businesses all the way up to companies of the size of Weir Group, and even Team Sky, the cycling team, were using the platform to set challenges that they had struggled maybe to solve internally. And we built a community of solvers, around about 3,500 across the world, who were eager to be rewarded for helping to solve those challenges. Before too long, we got noticed by some of the big businesses that were trying to lead the open innovation conversation. Amongst them, Unilever, Procter & Gamble, and GE over in Cincinnati. And we were invited over actually to meet GE face to face, which we took them up on that offer. We were supposed to stay about an hour and a half and present our platform to them, and we ended up staying 2 days. And they gave us a lot of time to really work through the challenge. They were a fantastic team. The open innovation team at GE were basically all ex kind of army veterans who had sort of worked together, and it was literally like being in the A team. They kind of talked to each other as if they were kind of the A team, and they all had nicknames for each other and different strengths and different weaknesses, and they worked brilliantly as a team. And they spent more time than we deserved probably poring over the Solverboard platform at the time and really helping us to refine what it is that made us good and where we could improve. And where that was really in the way that the platform had been built from a collaborative perspective, taking its lead from social media platforms and really trying to, I guess, realizing that the best innovation came from when people talked to each other, collaborated, and worked out the solution to a problem together. And whether those people were internal or maybe external didn't matter. It was about getting people together to solve challenges. Businesses don't innovate, people innovate. And we grabbed that and really ran with that, and up against a lot of other platforms that were doing this at the time, which were kind of, you know, glorified tendering platforms effectively. There was something in our platform that made it easy to trial, easy to implement, and easy to stick in an organization which they really liked. Their advice to us, however, was that litigation in open innovation was a bit of a non-start, made open innovation a real non-starter. True open innovation, challenges around IP, challenges around solving the same challenge with the same solution and rewarding one person, meant that it was, if we wanted to progress any further, we needed to rethink the business model, in which they helped us do. And their advice was that GE, as an example, was a 400,000 strong global organization, so was its own open innovation ecosystem, and however, it was closed by, you know, everyone working for GE and having contracts that meant that GE owned the IP of the people that worked there. But that size of an organization, although a challenge for us to be able to serve a client that big, gave us a North Star to try and aim for in terms of building internal open innovation ecosystems for companies and democratizing the process of innovation throughout organizations. So off we went back to Bristol with an idea in our heads that we kind of drew up on the plane on the way back, and then spent the next 2 or 3 years delivering roughly what we drew up in on the plane on the way back from Cincinnati. So fast forward to where we are now. Well, not where we are now, but the next phase of Solverboard. We pivoted, as I say, to internal open. We really saw an opportunity to democratize innovation through an organization and help prove the value of innovation activity. And that's what we set ourselves the task of doing. In order to do that, we needed to really understand why current solutions weren't particularly working for organizations. And so we partnered with a large aerospace and defense business in the Bristol area to help us really think through our thinking and try lots of different modules, I guess, of innovation management. And with Aaron leading this particular piece of work, interviewing over 100 innovation leaders to understand what blocked innovation and what did good look like in the innovation program. And we mulched all of that together and came up with our innovation methodology that is now in our launched product, which I'll come on to now. So between 2018 and 2020, whilst we were building the platform, we employed our development team, built our marketing team, customer success team ready for our customers, and spent the time during the build time, obviously sharing the product with our lead client and also getting their feedback, but also seeding it with innovation consultants, innovation managers, innovation leaders who we'd already started to talk to, and steadily built a community of innovators that we could drop our product into. These included groups like the Bristol Innovators Group, which is about 650 strong now in Bristol, and is a fantastic sounding board for us to be able to get their opinions on different elements of the innovation process and how we can possibly answer those within the platform. We set up the Mothers of Invention, which is a group that met regularly every week to discuss, particularly during lockdown, actually, how is the innovation landscape changing and what is being asked of innovation managers that maybe suggests that the role is evolving and becoming more important. And then finally, our own community of innovation leaders, some of whom signed up for early access to the platform, and they included companies like Atos, ACOM. We actually had a fantastic session with Network Rail, Team Skies on the Institute of Sport, English Institute of Sport, Bristol Water, Northrop Grumman, lots of businesses that really could see the value of a new approach to innovation management, and were able to join our kind of early adopter scheme to give us feedback on the product as we were building. And the product took shape. And the product, our methodology for innovation management, what we had to do really was try to allow operate and chaotically take shape through plenty of opportunity for failure, but also plenty of opportunity to harden business cases on the best ideas as they flow through the process. Now, most innovation management platforms, when we were doing our competitive analysis, were either very strong in the idea generation and idea management space, or strong in the challenge management space. So a challenge would be set and then solutions would be offered to that challenge and then go and be delivered elsewhere in the business, which realistically delivers innovation theatre. It's, here's a challenge, we need to solve this with a tactical idea, give us your ideas and off we'll go and deliver it. I know that's quite simplifying the process somewhat, but realistically, we felt that if innovation was to really thrive in an organization and organizations were able to start changing the culture to become more innovation friendly, we needed to start earlier and finish later in the process. And that's what Solverboard does. It starts much, much earlier in the process by getting involved at the strategic vision and goal creation stage for a business, so that all ideas then can be constrained initially to delivering those goals, assessed as if they are their own business case, and then pulled into an iterative design thinking-led testing process that allows the test teams to cycle through various stages of development of an idea, whilst adding financial benefits, non-financial benefits, recording the business potential of an idea, and deciding all the way through that process whether an idea is going to be deliverable or not. So we harden the business case as we move through the test process. We involve more people in the process, so we don't just, innovation teams are as siloed as any other team in an organization traditionally. And so we're very, we try and open up the innovation team through membership of the test teams that test business ideas. Obviously, people that can give ideas can be anyone in an organization as well. But also then we get an expert panel from that business to judge whether those tests have been successful or not, or whether the test team need to go back and do more work to determine whether this is a good idea or not, before it arrives in the backlog of options to be delivered as innovation projects using project delivery teams. One thing that was very apparent to us when we were scoping the product was that a lot of companies said that if you have an idea in their company, you are responsible for the delivery of that idea, and that's supposed to be a good thing. It's not necessarily the case, however, because if somebody comes up with a cracking idea, they then have to try and deliver that idea, which, first of all, they might not have the time to do that because they might have their own day job to do, and this becomes alongside their day job. And it's no wonder, therefore, that innovation often gets sidelined, because people won't give ideas if they think that it means more work for them necessarily. But also from a culture mindset and from a mindset perspective, what makes you a good idea generator or creative problem solver might not make you a great delivery person. So why not use your people at the best place in the journey for them? So we have the concept of solvers coming up with ideas, and then we have the concept of professional users that then test and deliver ideas. And we're keen that companies use the best people at the best part of the process, and that allows them then to allocate time to their people based on their strengths in the innovation process. The overarching benefit of having everything in one workflow is that you get the benefit of innovation measurement and portfolio management analytics, so you can make more informed decisions about what does good look like when it comes to your innovation portfolio. So all of that together is really where we've got the product to so far. Finally, just to bring it up to the present, so we're launching. Took a bit longer for us than we planned, for fairly obvious reasons, through 2020. But eventually we felt we'd tested, iterated, and refined enough to get going. We got enough feedback from our sneaky peekers, and then finally launched in September 21. Companies that have already signed up include the likes of Capita, the Manufacturing Technology Centre, RS Components, various others. And we've already started to have some fantastic conversations with potential partners, including the likes of Spark, International Synergies, and even PA Consulting. So it's fantastic to have Prasad on the call. We've had some really, really interesting conversations with the Network Rail team at PA, as well as other business units as well. And we're very keen and hopeful that we can progress those conversations as well. So which brings us kind of up to date with the Rail Innovation Group, and why do we want to get involved with the Rail Innovation Group? Well, first of all, we feel that the platform process really synergizes closely with the work. I hate the fact that I've used the word synergizes in a presentation. I promised myself I would never do it, but it was the only word that felt like it fitted in this, so that's why I put it in there. We do feel that we match very closely with the work RIG wants to do to encourage strategy-based innovation in the rail industry. Obviously, there's the chance of there being a potential client base for Solverboard in this as well. So we're offering the Rail Innovation Group a free platform in order to start generating ideas initially around some of the challenges that have been set by the Great British Railway initiative. And obviously also a chance to get even more real-world feedback from a group that's activated and focused on innovation management. So we've built a Solverboard just for you guys, and are excited about inviting those of you that let us invite you early yesterday to the platform, but also if anybody else on the basis of what I'm about to show wants to be invited into the platform to share ideas and maybe collaborate on some of those ideas, then please just whack your email address into the chat, and we'll gather those afterwards, and Johanna can invite you in to the platform after the event today as well. So rather than sort of just show you what that looks like on a screen, I thought what I'd do quickly is just show you what a fully functional Solverboard looks like and how it all hangs together. I'm slightly conscious of time, so I'll rattle through this pretty quickly, and I'm certainly not going to go through all the way through the platform. So what I would say is that I'm going to not move into the test and project delivery elements of the platform. Although if anybody is particularly interested in seeing those, then I'm more than happy to schedule any time after today's event to take you through a bit more detail on those. But what I will do is I'll just share my screen again, and hopefully this will let me. Hang on a second, I've just got to come out of here, stop share, and then I think I can share again. Okay, no, that's not happening. I'm just trying to get to the, there we go, that's what I need to do. Just get to here and show you what a Solverboard effectively looks like. Can you all see my my browser screen now?
Yes.
Okay. So this is Solverboard, if that's not too meta for anyone. So we use Solverboard ourselves to develop Solverboard, and we're using Solverboard now to build the next iteration of the platform. And so what we have here is we land initially on our strategy page, and this is where we can really share across the business what it is we want to achieve and how we're going to get there. So our strategy is to help our vision is to help companies innovate better, and the mission for this particular platform is to build a 90-day plan to manage our rise to success, why it's called rise.solverboard.app. And the strategy is a 30, 60, and 90-day OKR plan, objectives, key results, if no one's familiar with OKRs. We have an OKR engine built into the platform, which I'll show you now, to manage our successful launch. For all medium and longer term ideas, we have a separate platform for that, which everyone internally in Solverboard knows and and works on. Our goals, we have a goals page. So we, as you can see here, we have a 2022 Q1 goal, and then we broke our previous goals down into 30, 60, and 90-day goals for Q4 of last year. And now we're in this space, and as you can see already, lots of ideas and tests and projects are magnetizing around our Q1 goal. If I go into our goal, our objective for Q1 is to get users on board, get users activated, get customers paying, and to get investment. And how are we going to measure that success? Well, our ultimate goal is to get investment. So we have these key results in here where we're agreeing our group of investors, completing due diligence and getting a commercial agreement in place in Q1. And this is and our status is over here, not realized, on target and part realized. And we can go into each of our key results and actually physically decide where our progress is on this goal in our weekly Zoom meetings. And so everybody in the business feels an ownership and has a part to play in not just the ideating around our goals, but also how are we all helping to get ourselves through the goal via the key results the panel. And we can add as many key results as we like into the platform, but this really helps us to stay honest in terms of our progress through the innovation journey that we're all on. And I think that's something that was mentioned a couple of times on the questions earlier on, was it's just too difficult and it's just too far away, and you can't eat a whole elephant in one mouthful. You need to break it down. And so with this, it's very much, okay, what are we doing every day to move innovation processes and projects and ideas through the process, and how is that immediately impacting how we judge the success of our innovation journey? And this OKR element of the platform really helps with that, because it keeps us all on target. As you can see, content is already starting to magnetize. We're 32% through. You might say we should probably be a little bit further through, being this is a quarter one goal, and here we are in March. But as usual, most things tend to hockey stick towards the end of the quarter. So we're all systems go for the final few weeks of the quarter in terms of where we want to get to ourselves in Q1. But typically, our team will be reading these goals, really understanding them. Also, we've broken down the activity into sub goals. So if the main goal is too big to attack in one go, a lot of companies are using Solverboard for sustainability initiatives and sustainability goals. And typically a sustainability goal can get broken down into 3, 4, 5 sub goals around net zero, reduction of plastics, etc. And so we encourage customers to use the sub goal functionality and start to magnetize ideas around that. So we'll read the goal, and then we'll create an idea from that goal. And you can very quickly create an idea from the quick create plus button in the corner, or you can go to the ideas board of Solverboard to add your goals and add your ideas. And here's our idea board with all of our ideas on there. I think there's about 130 something ideas on our board at the moment. I'll just let that load. My Wi-Fi is, I'm in the middle of nowhere, and my Wi-Fi is always pretty slow when I'm presenting, so just bear with it for a second. But here we can see how a typically populated idea board looks, full of ideas of how to encourage innovation through Solverboard. Every idea gets the opportunity to you can add an image to make it stand out on the board. People can follow the idea. People can comment and collaborate on the idea, and I'll just quickly go through this now. So we get a bit of detail about the idea. There's a comment section, so everyone can comment on the idea and add their thoughts, and you can comment back again. So a real conversation can happen around each idea, which helps to increase the activity points on an idea, which in turn increases the size of the idea on the board to make the innovation team stand up and take notice of the idea. We tend to review our ideas on a group call. So we'll sit on the group call and review the 10 most recent ideas that have hit the platform. And immediately we're reviewing against a typical business model impact assessment of viability. So this idea, highly viable. Technically, it's pretty feasible. If we look at, adding ideation sessions as a way to add users. Customers, in fact, technically, we might need to drop that down to an 8 because we'll probably need to use additional tools to deliver an online ideation session. Customer desirability, every customer is asking us now if we can help them to ideate prior to getting those ideas into the platform. So that's the 10. And then we can assess by goals. How does this encourage upsell from existing signups, which is the goal that this has been aligned to? That's a 10. And overall, obviously, in terms of delivering against our Q1 objectives, we can align that as a 10 as well. We then get a chance then to add what ambition it is. Is it a core, adjacent, or transformative innovation? So is this something that we can deliver as continuous improvement, or is it something that might eventually change the fortunes of the business? Horizon wise, the McKinsey Horizon 1, 2, and 3. This is something that we would like to probably deliver. If it's an adjacent ambition, it's likely to be something that we would look at Horizon 2. And it's probably a product innovation, but you can have any type of innovation type, a business model, process, service innovation, etc., or maybe even a customer engagement innovation. So we're gonna choose that one for there. How likely that idea is to succeed if we move it through the process of testing and then delivery, and so it gives us immediately a confidence level of how likely we are to deliver this and how likely the idea is to be of a value to our customer. And so once that assessment is done, that is automatically saved in the platform, and we are able then to review our ideas with those scores next to them. The way we typically do that is we would actually view this idea board as a list, and then we would, being the completer finishers that we all are, we would probably then go through the whole list and identify where there are any gaps in the in our technical feasibility, visibility, desirability scores, and go through and add all those in. But then we are able then to sort our board on the highest impact, and those are the ones that we tend to review and then graduate those ideas into a test. I will very, very quickly show you a test before I just quickly show you the version that we've built for the Rail Innovation Group, with one eye on the time as well. I'm sure there might be a few questions as well. But we will test any good idea that we've had and run that through a process of, for instance, if we look at encouraging upgrades, one of our key models is to upsell from our free platform into our paid platform. So how might we do that? We'll test that as a team, and we'll come up with, we'll obviously discuss the test and does it have exactly what we need in there? And then we'll move it through an evolutionary process of problem definition, problem solution fit, MVP, and then business model with some costings next to it as well. That will allow us then to test and iterate on that using hypotheses to make sure we're asking the right questions in the shaping of that concept. And again, I can go over this in far more detail if you'd rather have a separate session on this. The outcome is that we have a portfolio of innovation activity where we can see very easily where everything is in our process. So it gives us a bird's eye view of everything that's in our portfolio at the moment, all the way through from tests, from ideas, 120 ideas into tests, 18 tests, 1 option, and we've got 3 projects running at the moment in Solverboard, and they're all based on different stages that they're all in the portfolio. And then finally, we have an analytics platform that allows us to very quickly interrogate all of the ideas, tests, and options, etc. What our complete NPV might be if all of the projects and ideas were to be delivered. Now, that's obviously a total estimated NPV of everything that's live in the platform. And as we go through and kill projects that aren't going to work, that starts to get balanced out to give us a much more accurate forecast of what our innovation process might deliver us if everything was to be delivered on time and in budget. We have financial projections in here. We have portfolio mix analytics, and then obviously also an overview of innovation measurement and per module innovation measurement as well. So number of ideas generated and how many of those get graduated, yield rates across stages, etc., are all held within our analytics portfolio. So the idea being very much that Solverboard becomes one place, one workflow to go from the very early concepting of ideas based on vision and strategy into the testing process to allow for testing to be done on those ideas, and eventually the delivery of innovation projects all in one platform. But being API first, we also are able to integrate with tools that companies are already using and are happy working in. So typically we'll see integrations with Slack, Yammer, Teams, etc. for idea generation, and then potentially project management delivery tools. We've already built a project delivery integration with Jira in the back end, so that you can get the benefit of recording everything in one innovation platform, but working in the tools that you're already familiar with. How does that look for the Rail Innovation Group? Well, we have built a version of this with Joanna's help, and focusing very much on delivering a goal around the Great British Railways initiative. So we've put into this platform the Great British Railways objective and have broken down the sub-goals of the Great British Railways initiative into empowering rails people, accelerating innovation and modernisation, a new deal for passengers, and replacing franchising. And already there have been ideas that have started to be gathered that can help to deliver against some of these goals. The ideas obviously are starting to surface on the idea board. Initially ones that we put in together just to get things moving, but ultimately and very hopefully the team from the Rail Innovation Group and you guys will get access to this platform and allow you to also record your own ideas and start for the team to then review and work out which ones could be delivered by the group, ready for potentially testing. So effectively an activation tool for the Rail Innovation Group, effectively to allow you guys to work together on ideas across businesses, across sectors that will help to hopefully deliver some of the initiatives within the Great British Railways program. And in a nutshell, I know I've just basically talked at you now for about half an hour, but hopefully that gives you a good overview of our story, but also, you know, what does good look like when it comes to running innovation through a process and program, with obviously the external influences that help to manage that in terms of a team that's highly focused on innovation management anyway, but also working with our consultants and other people in the innovation space that have helped us build the platform. And so what good looks like. And then this is now the beginnings of how this could work for the Rail Innovation Group. I'm very hopeful that you'll support this and maybe jump on and share some ideas, and then see where we can take some of those ideas in the future. Ultimately, it's something that can sit between the meetings that everyone has as a ongoing innovation management tool to help keep people innovating against, as I say, against the Great British Railways initiative. And yeah, very much hoping that you'll support it, and you'll get some value from using Solverboard in the group. That's pretty much it for me at the moment. If there's any questions, obviously very, very happy to answer any questions, any initial questions.
Thank you very much. Liz has jumped in.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, Liz.
How are you? Thanks
Good.
for that. It was great. Yeah, good. Nice to see you again.
Hot, actually.
So it's going to sound like a stupid question, but in one way, how are you defining innovation? Because this, I love the board, it looks fantastic, but I wonder if there's a danger if it's quite a narrow definition that it sits off as without being used, and it feels like this is actually almost like a kind of day-to-day tool that wants to be used all the time. So I'm curious about the choice of the word innovation as opposed to, say, just, you know, core strategy or something else.
Yeah, I mean, we very much encourage our customers, and through a lot of the help files that we have attached to the platform, a lot of our blog posts as well, to understand their definition of innovation. For us, innovation is the creation of new value, and to create new value effectively means that our business thrives in the future. And so everything that we have in our platform is ultimately there as an idea that might in the future create new value for the business, whether that's a new feature, a function, or whether it's a new direction that the business might even take. And so having an open definition like that allows us to be quite busy on the platform, frankly. We have clients that use the platform in teams, so marketing teams of large pharmaceutical businesses, for instance, are using it to just attack their continuous improvement strategy. They're tasked with saving a certain amount of money per year, and how might they go about doing that? So they've got quite a tight definition, and this becomes then, I think, Solverboard becomes the kind of virtual room that you go in every week to go and do some innovating, and they allocate time to innovation so that people can schedule that in their diaries, and actually they do the innovation together on Zoom and come in and go, right guys, let's get around this challenge that we might have, for instance,
you see it as and
use it very much as a physical space.
Yeah, so you see it as a meeting hub rather than something that people are using all the day to day.
Absolutely. I think it would
Yeah.
take a very, very mature, innovative business to be in this every single day. We do see innovation, our admins, our innovation leaders in there every day, chasing people up on tasks that they might have been set. Also, often tweaking language in the way that goals are framed, and maybe some of the vision statements are framed, etc., to encourage more involvement. But yes, very much the people we see in there are in there because they've probably had an email saying, "Oh, new goal launched on the platform. Have you got any ideas towards it?" Or every week they'll get an email prompting them to come back into the platform based on activity that's been on the platform. So it's very much I've got something that I might want to share, because that's, I think, how innovation tends to work best in organizations is, ideas come at funny times, and it's often unusual things that prompt them. So yeah, it's designed very much for you to be able to dip into if you're not core innovation team, I guess. But we've also tried to account for innovation teams themselves having to have something that they can actually reference and refer to when called upon to share the future of the business. One of our messages that we got very early on was, well, when I go into, I'm responsible for this business not disappearing into a black hole in 5 years' time, but I've got Excel and PowerPoints, and that's about it. When I'm in the board meeting with the head of sales who's got Salesforce, the head of marketing's got HubSpot, maybe the head of finance has got SAP or Xero. What have I got? I've got Excel and a PowerPoint. What I need is a tool that helps really prove the value of our innovation activity, alongside what might be happening with consultants helping to drive it from a more of a mindset and cultural behavior change as well perspective.
Lovely, thank you.
Just conscious of time and people having to drop off.
Thank you, guys.
But did we want
to say the same thing?
We are planning on the 25th of May to sort of do I think in our in-person event on the 25th of May, 6 to 8 o'clock. Charlie, you're going to come to London, hopefully, and we're going to do sort of a sit-down workshop. So to actually run through some of the process and bounce some ideas. So anyone who is in town.
So what I was going to suggest, if people are interested, because I know I invited some people yesterday, and I know that people only gave permission to use it within this session. So what I will do is if it's okay with people, I'll send a follow-up email to see whether they want to be part of it, going beyond this meeting. And if they don't, then I'll remove you. But I think what would be good is if between now and that May session, because what we want to do is we want to basically innovate the Great British Railways and come up with some ideas that we can maybe put into a follow-up white paper or something, and start coming up with something different to maybe what Network Rail and Rail Delivery Group are doing. So maybe we can contribute to the debate that's happening, and maybe get some of our community's ideas into the framework as well. So if people are up for that, I will email around and see if you want to participate within that piece of work, and then we'll work towards that for the May in-person event.
Fantastic. Thank you all very much for your kind words, and thank you for listening. And if there's anything else you need, just come and link in with me on LinkedIn, and I'm more than happy to share some more detail or some more information, and maybe do a further demo of some of the back end of the platform as well.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Charlie, for your time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. I can go and munch now. I've not done any munching, so I
had a piece of chocolate. I had a piece of chocolate tiffin.
Oh, you lucky.